On March 31, 2025, President Donald Trump stunned the world with a single announcement that sent shockwaves through the global economy and the automotive sector. The news broke early in the morning, catching both Wall Street and international markets off guard. Trump declared a sweeping 25% tariff on all cars not made in the U.S., a move that instantly put billions of dollars in global trade at risk and threatened to upend the way cars are built, shipped, and sold around the world. This bold policy was designed to force foreign automakers to shift their production lines and the jobs that come with them onto American soil. The administration argued it was a necessary step to revive U.S. manufacturing and protect American workers, but critics warned of dire consequences for global trade. The policy was a direct challenge to decades of global supply chain strategies, instantly redrawing the economic map for automakers. Companies that had spent years perfecting just-in-time logistics and cross-border assembly suddenly faced a new reality. Financial markets reacted with panic, traders scrambled to assess the fallout, and the auto sector was hit especially hard. The uncertainty rippled through every corner of the industry. Shares of Toyota and Nissan plunged over 9%, while Hyundai dropped 11% in a matter of hours. Executives at major Asian and European automakers called emergency meetings to strategize their next moves. Investors saw the tariffs as a real threat to the stability and profitability of global car giants. Many feared a domino effect, with other countries possibly retaliating and sparking a trade war. The new rules apply to every vehicle not assembled in the U.S., upending long-standing business models and forcing automakers to rethink their entire approach to the American market. For years, automakers optimized for cost and logistics. Now they must recalculate everything in the face of a hefty new price for access to the American market. Supply chains that once spanned continents were suddenly under threat, and every company faced tough decisions about where to build, source, and sell their vehicles. The world's auto industry was forced back to the drawing board overnight, scrambling to adapt to a new era of protectionism and uncertainty. The ripple effects of Trump's bold move would be felt for years to come, reshaping the future of cars, jobs, and global trade. To understand the impact, consider the dominance of Asian automakers in the U.S. In 2024, 6 of the top 8 best-selling brands in America were Asian: Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai, and Kia among them. Toyota led the pack, outselling even Ford and Chevrolet with nearly 2 million vehicles. The U.S. imported $220 billion in passenger cars last year, with Japan and South Korea sending over 2.7 million vehicles combined. For Japan, cars are the single most important export to America. The new tariff is an existential threat. These companies must now choose between absorbing massive costs or passing them to consumers, risking their hard-won market share. The stakes for both automakers and American drivers have never been higher. The tariffs were meant to protect American jobs, but the reality is more complicated. Foreign automakers employ tens of thousands in the U.S., not just on assembly lines but in engineering, design, and management. Up to 38,000 Detroit area jobs are at risk if these companies scale back or leave. For consumers, the pain is direct imported cars could jump $10,000 in price, turning family vehicles into luxury items. Even American brands could raise prices with less competition. The result? Fewer affordable options, higher costs for everyone, and a potential wave of job losses in communities that depend on the auto industry. The policy designed to help American workers could end up hurting them, and their wallets. The future of Detroit and the American car buyer hangs in the balance. As the world reeled from the tariffs, the Trump administration unveiled a surprise. A new trade deal with the UK British-made cars received a special break, just a 10% tariff on the first 100,000 vehicles, mostly luxury brands like Land Rover and Jaguar. This carve-out was not extended to North American partners, sparking outrage in Detroit, Ottawa, and Mexico City. Critics called it a sweetheart deal that undermined the very idea of favoring North American manufacturing. The agreement created a bizarre scenario. It could be cheaper to import a luxury car from Britain than to build one in North America. Many saw the move as political, not economic, introducing new uncertainty for automakers. The message trade policy was now up for negotiation, country by country. The UK deal triggered a rare alliance between automakers and unions, both condemning the move. For years, these two groups have often found themselves on opposite sides of the negotiating table, but this time, they stood united in their concern. The announcement sent shockwaves through Detroit and beyond, as industry leaders and labor representatives scrambled to understand the full implications. The American Automotive Policy Council warned it gave British imports an unfair edge, undermining hard-won USMCA rules. They argued that the deal could unravel years of painstaking negotiations that had established a level playing field for North American manufacturers. The council's spokesperson emphasized that such exceptions could open the floodgates for other countries to demand similar treatment, putting domestic jobs and investments at risk. Ford's CEO called it a dangerous precedent, fearing more sweetheart deals could follow and erode protections for U.S. producers. He warned that if the rules could be bent for one country, it would be only a matter of time before others demanded similar concessions, further weakening the industry's competitive position. Unions like Unifor in Canada slammed the deal for threatening jobs and disrupting the tightly integrated North American supply chain. They pointed out that the auto sector relies on predictability and stability, and sudden changes could have ripple effects across thousands of families and communities. Components and vehicles cross borders multiple times. Any disruption risks thousands of jobs on both sides. The supply chain is a delicate web with parts assembled in one country shipped to another and finished elsewhere. Even a small change in trade policy can throw the entire system into chaos, threatening livelihoods across North America. The backlash was fierce. After years of promises to prioritize North American manufacturing, the administration's actions now seem to do the opposite. Workers who had trusted that their jobs would be protected felt betrayed, and frustration boiled over in factories and union halls. Industry and labor leaders warned that arbitrary favoritism would destabilize the market and make long-term planning impossible. Without clear and consistent rules, companies would hesitate to invest, and workers would face growing uncertainty about their futures. The very people the tariffs were meant to protect now saw them as a threat. Instead of shielding American jobs, the policy risked undermining the entire sector, leaving workers and businesses alike in a precarious position. The rift between Washington and the auto industry had never been wider. As tensions mounted, both sides braced for a prolonged battle over the future of North American manufacturing. The White House defended its UK deal as a model of flexible bilateral negotiation. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt insisted each agreement would be tailor-made, not a template for others. But this bespoke approach only deepened industry anxiety. Predictability and clear rules are essential for billion-dollar investments. In response to criticism, the administration quietly offered tariff reimbursements to U.S. automakers, trying to offset the UK deal's impact. This patchwork of tariffs, rebates, and special deals created a confusing, burdensome system for automakers. Instead of stability, the industry faced a maze of shifting policies. The White House called it sophisticated strategy. Automakers called it chaos. Confidence in the future of American auto manufacturing was shaken. Experts are deeply divided on whether tariffs will actually bring auto jobs back to America, or if they'll simply disrupt the industry without delivering on promises. The debate is heated, with some pointing to history and others to the unique challenges of today's globalized market. Some, like Eric Gordon, argue the UK deal affects only a small slice of the market, luxury cars, not mass-market models. For most American consumers, these vehicles are out of reach, so the impact on everyday car buyers is minimal. The vast majority of cars sold in the US are made elsewhere, and this deal does little to change that. Others, like Dan Ives, warn the real damage is the uncertainty. Arbitrary deals and shifting policies discourage long-term investment in U.S. factories. Companies hesitate to commit billions when the rules could change overnight, leaving plants idle and workers anxious about their futures. Nearly all agree, moving production is slow, costly, and complex. It's not just about building a factory, it's about retraining workers, retooling equipment, and ensuring quality standards are met at every step. Building a new plant takes years and billions of dollars, plus new supply chains for thousands of parts. Every bolt, chip, and seat must be sourced, tested, and delivered on time, a logistical puzzle that can't be solved overnight. Automakers can't just flip a switch, so in the short term, they must either absorb tariffs or pass costs to consumers. This means higher prices at the dealership, or slimmer profits for companies already facing fierce competition. The dream of rapid onshoring is unrealistic. The reality is a painful, drawn-out transition. Workers and communities hoping for a quick revival may instead face years of uncertainty and slow progress. Foreign automakers are caught between immediate losses and a long, expensive road ahead. For now, the path to bringing production home is anything but simple, and the outcome remains far from certain. As the dust settles, the future of the American auto industry is more uncertain than ever. High tariffs and unpredictable trade deals threaten thousands of jobs at foreign-owned plants across the U.S. communities in the South and Midwest. Once revitalized by these investments, now face new risks. For car buyers, higher prices and fewer choices are almost guaranteed. The dream of affordable, reliable transportation could slip out of reach for many families. The administration hopes tariffs will eventually bring more jobs home, but only if policy becomes stable and predictable. The risk: a prolonged trade war, job losses, and a shrinking industry. The fate of American workers, consumers, and the auto industry now hangs in the balance.